Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Brentwood, especially Harold Fogelberg. Welcome back to the Rotary Club of Brentwood. Yay! In his boot, but he's here. Today, we will start with an invocation led by Sybil Buchanan, and the pledge and four-way test will be led by Jason Hulse.
Lord our God, as we gather today, let us invoke the spirit of unity, compassion, and service. May our collective efforts transcend all differences, guided by the principles of Rotary. Together, let us strive to make a positive impact on every corner of the community we serve, knowing that our unified actions have the power to shape a better tomorrow for generations to come. And we pray for the recovery of all our Rotary family members who are facing illness or pain. Grant them renewed strength and courage, and guide the hearts and hands of those who are entrusted with their care. And please, let's keep Rod Freeman and his family in our thoughts and prayers after the passing of his mom. And let us say, Amen.
All right, join me in saying the pledge. And the four-way test, first, truth, second, third, fourth, officials all concerned, and fifth.
Now, Steve Hammers will introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians.
All right, we've got several guests today. I'm going to let Lennis introduce his first guest.
Bob, where are you? Oh, thank you. Bob, stand up. It's my friend Bob Thompson. This is his third visit here. He is in process, interested in being a member. So welcome him to the club.
Thank you. And Sybil has a guest. She's going to introduce.
Yes, I would like to introduce Lisa Langford, right here. She's the Vice President, Strategic Advisor to the President and CEO of the Metropolitan Nashville Airport Authority, and that would be Doug Krulin, who Drew will be introducing shortly. So please welcome Lisa.
Glad to have you. And Drew. I'll just use this one. That's okay. Got my own. That's the way I roll, Steve. I've got two guests. I'll start with Zachariah Sanders. Zachariah is a former colleague of mine at First Horizon. He is a banker. He's a competitor now. He's with Legends Bank in the business banking group, but he is interested in membership in the Brentwood Rotary Club, and his office is out here in Brentwood. So welcome, Zachariah. I also have Stephen Sweeney, and interestingly, I was talking to Lisa and Doug before the meeting today, and indicated that as bankers, and Stephen is a colleague of mine. He's a portfolio manager at First Horizon Bank, and supports a lot of my clients' needs from a credit perspective. And one of the things that we do is we use the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report of the Airport Authority, to help us learn about the economy and how Middle Tennessee is doing. And so they thanked us because Stephen is one of the 5 people that actually reads their comprehensive annual financial report. So glad that he can be here and hear it in person. So welcome, Stephen. All right, Becky, Natalie, Becky. Oh, there you are. You all met Becky.
She should be a member very soon.
Very soon.
Yep.
So she's up on the reflections for, I think, last week.
Mm-hmm. Don't blackball her. We want her to be a member.
Beth, where are you going? Beth's got a visitor.
Stand up. This is my friend Colleen Atwood. She's an architect. We've worked together for years and years, and she has her own firm here in Brentwood, C Forward Architecture. And this is her third time visiting over the last year and a half. And she's been to Waverly with us like 2 or 3 times. So she's thinking about joining as well. She came during our membership drive. So welcome, Colleen.
For those of you that keep visiting, we have plenty of member applications.
We do.
All right, Devin has a special guest.
You can stand up. This is my son Campbell, who I've talked about on many occasions, but he just reminded me that I haven't actually brought him to a meeting since my induction as president, which was a long time ago. So, which means he was probably about half this height. This is my son Campbell. He is a rising sophomore, second-year student at Purdue, where he's
Oh,
studying
wow.
computer science. I have the great fortune to probably have him come work for me in commercial real estate for the only few months of his life, because it is of no interest to him. But I have found software that I need built, so he's building it for me.
Wow.
So it's great to have him along with me this summer.
Glad to have you. That is it.
Awesome. Okay, so we have a few announcements. I wish Susie was here because she, at the district conference, we got several awards. Susie got a personal award for distinguished service, and that was very well deserved. So congratulate Susie when you see her. Our club, in case you did not read Reflections, we received the award for greatest accomplishment, and that was for the playground that the club has been working on for the past, 3 years or so. So good job, club. We also got the award for best new project, and that was for the Waverly food distribution. Even though lots of other clubs support that project as well, we won the award because of the level of support provided by this club. And I think we should thank Beth and Hunter because they have turned that into something that is super fun and just made it into, more, as much of a social event and a fun event as it is service. So thanks to them. And finally, dun, 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 Club of the Year. Woo. District 6760, Club of the Year, that's us. And then I want to, Betsy is not going to be at our gavel exchange banquet for our president-elect taking over. And I just wanted to, I would have given her this at that event, but wanted to do it here since she can't join us. But I'm a little jealous because Rotary is now offering all kinds of extra training for incoming presidents. And, Betsy didn't have, did you even have pets? She had no training. She figured out everything on her own. And not only did she do that, she was I went to pets, but that was just one weekend and you can't learn everything in one weekend. So Betsy was my Rotary training. And so for that, I want to give her a gift of thanks. She did so much to leave this club in great shape for when I came in and has really just helped all year. And even this is also for George, by the way, because you might also, you all might recall that around the holidays, my dad was, I thought we were at the point of losing my dad and, Betsy was very willing to step in and help me. But not only that, she got George on the phone with me and gave me all kinds of great medical advice. So just thanks to Betsy for being such a support to me and therefore to the club. So this is for you. Have to open it before you leave. Okay. By the way.
Kudos to Jane when you think about this. Out of all the clubs in District 6760, which are how many? 60 something, 62? In the last 5 years, we've been Club of the Year twice. So that means 40% of the time, the last 5 years, we've been Club of the Year. Just saying.
Yay, us. We good. See, Colleen and other guests. We're good. Come join us. Okay, so one other announcement, and that is that Waverly, our Waverly project is coming up on June 3rd, right, Hunter? We've got about 10 or so volunteers now, but let's keep showing the other clubs in the district how it's done. Let's show up for service. Let's exemplify service above self. So another email coming next week. Sign up if you can. Any other announcements? Anybody? We good? Okay, so now let's have Happy Bucks led by President-elect Drew Rogers.
The risk of being overexposed, I'm gonna introduce two people and I'm going to be the Happy Bucks. I'm happy to do that, but I did put $5 in here, and it's for our speaker, not just because of everything that he does for our community, the region, as the CEO of the Airport Authority, but he is also an Auburn Tiger. So War Eagle Doug, glad you're here. And Alan, that was $5, so there's plenty. You can borrow some of mine if you need.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, you mentioned that. It's like less than 100 days till college football. And I'm just going to tell you, Ole Miss Rebels going 12-0. Auburn going down. Alabama goes 11-1 and backs into a playoff, right? So that's how that goes. And Ole Miss plays South Carolina for the SEC championship in Atlanta. Oh yeah, Georgia's done.
I think your money ran out.
So I put in 5, and the reason is, you may remember 5 weeks ago, we were at the Baptist Children's Home and the 4-way test banner disappeared. You can see that it's back. You know, and after much searching and calling and lots of people involved, I found it in the back seat of my car.
I'm gonna put in 5 because everybody else is, not what that's all about. Golf tournament, quick update. We're doing okay. I'm not gonna say we're doing great. We're doing okay. There are a bunch of sponsorships that were sold last year that are still out there. And there's some good ones. Side scoreboard, $1,000, premium hole sponsor, $750. There's a lot of those out there. So somebody sold those last year. So let's make contact with those folks and get those. The easiest sale you can have is the guy you sold last year. Remember that. So the other thing we're going to tell you real quick is I've mentioned every time I talk about find somebody you know and ask them to just ask them to give help
Yes.
us. However. And so Beth Dormany did just that. And this week she sent me a list of 4 names that she had just thought of that she knew. 2 of them came through this week, a $500 sponsor and a $350. The other 2 are coming through. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay, Beth? Thank you very much.
Yay, Beth.
Harold. Thank you, Drew. Several of you asked what happened. I'm just, as Minnie Pearl says, I'm just glad to be here. About 2.5 months ago, I was standing and at the sink. I'd like to say that I was in the finals of a pickleball tournament going for a kill shot, but instead I turned on the rug and just tore my Achilles and went to a walk-in clinic that put a boot on and said, maybe it'll rehabilitate itself, but don't do anything stupid. Well, 3 weeks later, I got frustrated with the leaves accumulating in my yard and started raking them back. And there's a big drop off at the edge of my yard, and I fell forward. And to break the fall, I put this foot out and completely severed my Achilles tendon. So I've been in a cast for 8 weeks now, a boot for 4 more, and then rehab. You do not want to do a stupid thing like this.
Anybody else that's happy? I don't know if that was happy, Harold, but that was,
He's happy to be back.
it's tone
Happy to be
setting.
in the
It's-
boot.
It's definitely tone
Boot's better
setting.
than a cast, yeah.
Anybody else? President Jane, back to you.
Awesome. Well, actually, back to you because now we will introduce our speaker and Drew is going to do that. How about that?
You gotta be really careful here. Doug, just a heads up. Where am I supposed to go without hurting people?
I got you.
Okay, because Doug's taller than I am.
Yes,
There
and
we
we talked about doing this. and I
Okay.
forgot.
All
So
right.
there you go.
Better. Well, as I mentioned, appreciate you all making us feel less nerdy because we do read the comprehensive annual financial report of the Airport Authority. But if you are ever interested in how our region is doing, it is a really good way to figure out how we are doing economically in Middle Tennessee. If you go in and you look at some of the statistics, because what has happened over the course of the last 11 years that our speaker has been involved at the Airport Authority has been nothing short of remarkable. And so I would encourage you to go out and look at that. Doug Krulin is the president and CEO for the Metropolitan Nashville Airport Authority, where he is responsible for both the Nashville International Airport, which is also known as BNA, and the John Toon Airport, which is an auxiliary airport out west of town. Krulin joined the Airport Authority in 2012 and was named president and CEO in December of 2017. Now, during that period of time, the Airport Authority has seen its operating budget grow from approximately $83 million to $210 million. And its net asset position increased from $391 million to almost $900 million. That level of growth and investment in our city is remarkable. And once you dig into the extremely strong financial performance of the airport, it's easy to see why this asset and this leadership team are the unsung heroes of our region's unprecedented growth. In spite of the fact that you may drive out there from time to time and curse the leaders of our airport authority, but it is necessary for all of the success that we experience as a region. Krulin is active in a variety of civic organizations, including the Tennessee Association of Air Carrier Airports, where he served as the president, the Williamson Inc. Board of Directors, where he served as the chair, the Nashville Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Music City Inc. Foundation, and Auburn University Aviation Advisory Board, War Eagle. He's also an alum of Leadership Huntsville, which is where he was before Nashville, and Leadership Nashville. In 2019, the Tennessee Aviation Hall of Fame selected Krulin as the Tennessee's Aviation Person of the Year, and the Nashville Business Journal has recognized him as one of Nashville's most admired CEOs. Prior to beginning his career in the commercial aviation sector, Krulin served in the United States Air Force for 27 years, where he earned the rank of colonel. But before all of that, he earned a Master of Science degree from the National War College and Troy University and a Bachelor of Science from Auburn University, War Eagle. Welcome, Doug Krulin, please.
I will try to say War Eagle 8 or 9 times today. So thank you very much for the invitation to speak to the club. I would really love to entertain questions. And so I'll try to go through the slides as fast as I can. If I'm blocking you from the slides, I'll move around and use the microphone. This is the new entrance. Okay, there we go. This is the new entrance to the Airport Authority. If you recall what it was prior, it was built in 1987, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But if you're in our new admin building, you're going across the bridge from the Garage Hotel that's being built into the new lobby. The building has been expanded 50 feet to the north, 50 feet to the south. It's come out 50 feet, and then there's another 168 feet that's not open yet that we'll talk about. September 25th is that opening, but we think it's very beautiful, and we'll show you a few highlights. So this is the Nashville Airport, and the challenges that we're facing at the Nashville Airport is based on how the airport was designed. So if you go back in history, 1987, the terminal that we're expanding now was built by American Airlines. American Airlines was going to make the Nashville Airport a hub, and they decided to leave in 92. Well, back in 87, and you look at the passenger numbers, 80% of the people flying or going through the airport never left the airport. They were coming from Dallas to go to Nashville to get to DC. Only 20% of the passengers were coming into Nashville business or leisure. You fast forward to today, 85% of our passengers are from Nashville, doing business in Nashville, visiting Nashville. Only 15% stay in the airport and never leave. If you build something in 87 that nobody leaves to go downtown Nashville or the surrounding communities. You don't need roads, you don't need parking and all the other stuff that we're mentioning here. But now we do 60,000 people a day go through the airport. Come June 30th, Lisa is my right hand there. She's the statistician, multiple degrees in math that I'm very proud of her for having. But when we get to June 30th of this year, we will be at 22 million passengers going forward. So back in 87, we were at 10 million passengers. When Southwest or when American Airlines left Nashville, we went down by 3 million to 7 million passengers. It took 21 years to get back to 10 million passengers. So now we're in 2012, 2013, and we have been going at 10% growth every year since 2012, 2013 time period. When you look at coming out of the pandemic, we were the #1 airport of the top 50 in the United States last year at +7%. And that's where we ended up at 18.4 million passengers. This year, I think we'll be #1 again because we're growing at 19%. And we'll go from 18.4 million to 22 million passengers. That's 9,800 new people to Nashville every day flying in and out of here. It's a good problem to have. It's just, there's not enough concrete to keep pouring to keep up with it, but we're going to show you how we're doing the best job possible. That's enough. Next one. Okay. So here's a little story about where we are. If you look back when the growth really started 10 years ago, we were doing less than 30,000 passengers a day. And today we're going to average a little over 60,000 passengers a day. If you try, some people don't, try to figure out, well, what is that like? The Titans Stadium as it exists today holds 68,000 people. On a normal home game, they average 60,000 people. So we hold 365 Titans games every year. Bridgestone Arena holds 19,000 people if it's fully occupied for a Predators game. So we hold 3 Preds games every day, 365 days a year. So it lets you see the volume and how we're trying to move people through. And I think we're doing pretty good on that. This is something we're really proud of. So, and I'm lucky, and they mentioned in the introduction that I'm the head of the 5 commercial airports in terms of lobbying for the Tennessee Association of Air Carrier Airports. So that's Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, Chattanooga, and Tri-Cities. So there's 78 airports in the state of Tennessee. 5 of them are primary commercial, and the other 73 are general aviation corporate type jets. When you look at that, those 78 airports a couple of years ago were generating $20 billion of economic activity. 2 of the airports, John Tune and Nashville International Airport, are generating 49% of that entire economic activity. So it's amazing to see the level of activity, but it's a compliment to Brentwood and Williamson County and all the counties that surround Davidson County. And you'll see a slide on that in just a second. Where's our business come from? So I'm lucky I live in Williamson County. I work in Davidson County, but if somebody wins a new headquarters in Rutherford or Wilson or Dixon, I know we're going to need a bigger airport. And so we'll run through that. But the growth on the far right basically is we're almost a $12 billion impact to the state's economy, the 2 airports that we have. And over the next couple of years, we'll be north of 15 billion as we move forward. So this is a slide, a little hard to see maybe on the wall there, but Davidson County does 30% of the volume that moves through the airport. But what's really important is 70% is coming from all those surrounding counties. So when we look at our air service data, we're able to track where people bought tickets by zip code and where they're going. So somebody in all 95 of Tennessee counties is flying out of B&A every day, or not every day, but throughout the year. But you can see the darker colored counties are where we get most of our passengers from. And what's really important to us is we better be nice to the folks in Alabama other than Tuscaloosa and the folks from Kentucky. Because if you live in Huntsville or Northern Alabama, or you live in Lexington, Louisville, you're driving to the Nashville airport. 3 million of those 22 passengers are coming from Alabama and Kentucky to fly out of our airport. And that's the easy answer when why are you building a 298 room hotel at the airport? Is if you're coming from Louisville, Lexington, or Huntsville, and you're on that 5 o'clock flight in the morning, you're leaving just before midnight to get here at 3 o'clock to go through security to get on that first takeoff. So I think the ratio gives us a pretty good chance of being successful at renting all those hotel rooms. And we thought we wanted to own and operate the hotel ourselves, and then we did a couple sanity checks and it's like, well, we don't know anything about hotel business. So we went into our first P3 public-private partnership, and we partnered with Chartwell Hospitality out of Cool Springs. They're building the hotel. We're building $97 million garage that holds their $100 million hotel. So it's a good business partnership we're working on. So why does everybody come to Nashville? To fly out of from all of the surrounding counties or the neighboring states, to include Mississippi, Georgia, North Carolina. Folks are driving to fly out of B&A. The primary reason is we keep our costs low. Because we're considered a low to medium cost airport, the airlines make more money. And so when we're competing with other cities, they make more money if they're flying out of Nashville than out of some other location. And I'll give you an example of that. And then because they're so profitable by flying out of here, they want to keep hitting all the other cities that we can go to nonstop. So right now we go to 99 cities nonstop every day flying out of the airport. If you look at Memphis, I mentioned the Nashville, and I'm not nothing against Memphis. Memphis is a great airport and they dominate us with FedEx. But if you're looking at passengers, 22 million to 4 million passengers. You're looking at 99 nonstops out of here to less than 40 out of Memphis. And most people want to go nonstop to where they're going. And so they choose to fly out of us. And so we're excited about that. The bottom of the chart basically shows a goal of 135. It's a new goal that we came up with as a staff. But if you're looking over on the right side of the house, we're the largest commercial airport in Tennessee. We're the 27th biggest in the United States. And if you average the number of nonstop destinations for the top 20 airports in the United States, that's where you got 135. So we're doing 600 commercial jets a day coming in and out of the Nashville airport. And you'll see some slides in a minute that show we're going to 1,000 in the next couple years. Good Lord, yeah. But it's a good problem to have. It's just how do you get the infrastructure in there to be able to support all that? And we'll talk about it. So quick overview, 2 airports that we run. John C. Toon is 7 miles west of downtown of the city, and Nashville International Airport is 7 miles to the east. John C. Toon is our general aviation corporate airport, #1 general aviation airport in the state of Tennessee, and B&A is the #1 commercial airport in the state of Tennessee. So John Toon, and I heard a couple of the individuals I had to meet, we all talked about the pandemic and how hard it was and stuff. But before a good pandemic, you need a good tornado. And so on March 3rd of 2020, at just a few minutes after midnight, we had a tornado, the top picture, go across the southern side of that airport and destroy 91 jets. In the pandemic, we rebuilt everything you see in that top photo and some. So we built over 100 hangars, about $40 million of new facilities to hopefully pull those airplanes back into John C. Toon once they got their insurance and they bought new airplanes. So we've been successful. Those opened up a few months back. And we actually have all of them rented and there's still a waiting list to get into new hangars. The picture on the bottom is the north side of the airfield. Nothing was damaged on that side. The only thing that was there was on the very end was the governor's hangar. So the governor's hangar and his airplanes are on the far right. And during the pandemic, we built the new air traffic control tower on John Tune to control all the pilots coming in and out of there. These are 10 parcels that we divided up for the corporate headquarters that are all relocating in here. They all want to bring their jets from whatever city or state they live in today. And so 9 of those 10 parcels are spoken for. And we're close on number 1 there. So that's going to be a bunch of activity. We're making another $40 or $50 million investment in roads, ramps, and connecting taxiways, and then the private companies will build their own hangar for a long-term lease. And then here's all the craziness that's going on at B&A. So one thing that I need to leave here with is a cool name. So on the top right over there, we started this $1.5 billion program and we called it the B&A Vision 2017 to 2023. We're done. We could all drop the mic and walk out of here, but we kept growing and kept growing and kept growing. So we came up with, okay, the next $1.5 billion is called the New Horizon. So we're in design and 22 will be in construction this coming year and it'll finish up in 2028. And then down here, it's something, and we don't have a cool name yet, so we just called it Terminal 2. We had blurred vision, double vision, and nobody liked those, so we're just calling it the Terminal 2. So basically on Terminal 2 is everything that you see today at the Nashville International Airport, we're gonna do it on the other side of Donaldson as well, or where the National Guard is at. So eventually, if Nashville gets bigger than 35 million passengers, you'll need exactly what we're working on right now. And so that's a challenge for us. So on this chart, lots of boxes, but if it's in the dark blue, that's been built in the last 5 years. Everything that's in the yellow boxes is under construction right now. And 3 big projects to hit the finish line on schedule, on budget so far is the new international arrival facility opens up September 25th. That'll give us 6 international gates. Today we only have 1. On October 19th, we'll open up satellite concourse. This has 8 additional gates, and that will allow us to bring in an additional 4 million passengers into Nashville. And then the hotel finishes up, knock on wood, December 31st of this year. So Happy New Year. I'm not jumping if it doesn't open on time, but there is a cool restaurant and pool on the top. And then we're already getting ready to start the planning for Terminal 2. And how do we do that? You can imagine, as busy as that airport is right there, wherever you put the twin to this terminal, that's when we'll definitely be connecting with a tram of some sort between the 2 terminals. So you might park in a central location. Are you going international? You get on the tram to go that way. If you're going domestic, take a tram over here. So we don't have all that figured out yet, but I'm not sure when Nashville will ever build the transit system that they wanted, but we'll have to do it just to move people around to get them to the right place. A lot of folks ask, well, what keeps you up at night? When we started this program, the airport was 1.8 million square feet. When we finish this, it's 5 million square feet of facilities that we'll be managing. But to hit those 3 dates that I mentioned earlier, we spend a little over $1.1 million a day. If you divide that out, it's $57,000 an hour, 24 hours a day between now and December 31st. So one thing that we've really learned is you better have a good plan and you better not be afraid to make decisions. You don't make decisions, you're burning a lot of money while you're waiting 2 weeks to try to figure out what's the best way to approach something. So I think I think we've all gotten a lot better, and to be on schedule and on budget for the first 1.5 billion gives me a lot of confidence that we'll be able to slide into this next program as well. And then here's the other thing that'll keep you up. So they mentioned in our CAFR, and I'm very impressed that y'all looked at that and read it. The one that we'll go through our audit here in a few months, but the board is my new budget for next year is 282 million revenue. And so that's a good challenge to have. So 282 is the revenue target. It costs $165 million to run the airport. And so everybody's like, ooh, 115 million, that's a big bonus right there. Not really. The FAA requires us to reinvest all money that we make back into the airport. But if you also borrow $1.5 billion, it's $100 million mortgage. So the 165 million to run the airport, $100 million debt service payment, lets you have about 15 million extra to put in the savings account. We've been very fortunate. We are outgrowing all of our conservative projections. And so we've been able to save several hundred million, over the last few years because of the positive growth. But keeping you up at night, you have to grow that 282 million on the documents that we take to New York to borrow bonds on. You've got to grow that to 500 million in the next few years if you borrow $3 billion, your debt service is going to be about 200. And the bankers were very nice at my introduction, but they like to get paid. So that's, we have to figure out how to pull that all off. And then this is the last one that I'm really proud of. Is when we went into the pandemic in 2020, we only did 50,000 people a day. Today, we're at 60,000 people a day. So on March 2020, when we went into the pandemic at 50,000 a day, our lowest day was April 8th of 2020. Only 545 people flew through the airport. That's really hard to make money. So when you go on a diet, down from 50,000 people a day to 545. We could have played Frisbee, golf, whatever we wanted to do inside. We lost all international flights. So all the international flights to Canada are back. We're the 27th biggest airport in the United States. But what's neat about Canada is we're only one of 8 airports in the United States that go to the 5 biggest cities in Canada. So if you want to go to Canada, now we just did Vancouver here just recently, we'll provide that service to you. Obviously, you want to go to Latin America, Mexico, Caribbean, we're pretty much covered on that. And so we gave ourselves green check marks over there. On Europe, we have a star. We didn't give ourselves a check yet because we think we're big enough to do another nonstop. 420 people a day go from Tennessee to Europe. 216 of them are on our British Airways flight. So there's another 204 that are going via Dallas or Philadelphia or Washington, DC, or some other way to get to Europe. So we're talking to the big 4 to look at nonstop to Amsterdam, nonstop to Frankfurt, nonstop to Paris, or nonstop to Rome. The airlines know what we know, and they would love to steal those 200 people instead of them going to some other, airport to get them right here at Nashville. So we're working hard for that. We hope late July, August, we have some positive news in there. What the 2 most promising are probably Frankfurt or Paris. If they make a decision in July, August time period, they're talking about destinations in Central Europe, what they call their European summer, which is our March, our spring. So that'll be really good news for us because today, half of the people that are on the international flight to London stay in London or England or Ireland, and the other half go to Central Europe. So it's a good business proposition for us if we get that second flight. And then Governor Haslam, Governor Lee, everybody wants to go nonstop to Asia at some point. And you can see that by the investment that Japan has in the state of Tennessee. Next biggest is Germany, which we don't service. We got a good mark on Canada, a good mark on United Kingdom. And then coming in at number 5 is France. So business wise, Germany to Doug looks better than France. But we'll see how that goes. The biggest challenge to Japan is the winds in Tennessee are north-south 95% of the time. And if you fly a fully loaded jet, full of fuel, full of people, full of bags, you need a longer runway to not have some people to have to get bumped off of the flight. To be successful, you need to fill the flight as best as you can. And so we think we need to lengthen one of our runways. The runway closest to the Genesco building is the one most likely that we would lengthen. We own about 4,600 acres that the airport sits on right now, and we'd be able to do that. Okay, in case you have any cool or jumping questions on what the heck's going on. So there's now a new cell phone lot. It ain't where the old cell phone lots are at because the road widening off of I-40 at 216A is going from 1 lane to 2 lane. That drives, the second lane goes through the old cell phone lot property. So by the Genesco building is a new cell phone lot that holds 2.5 times as many cars as the previous. But that's why we had to relocate it, because we're about to, between now and December, widen the road so you can get off of I-40 and get faster into the airport. And then lastly, if you're coming up on I-40 out of Nashville towards the airport, you're going to see new signs within the next few weeks that have been ordered by TDOT. And because the volume is so big, you'll hear every morning on the news, exit 216A is backing up at the airport. That's because 60,000 people are all getting off at the first exit they see. So we're going to try to help people out. If you're going to the departures level, get off on the first exit. If you're going to the arrivals or ground transportation or parking garages, get off on 216B. So some new signs are coming and that'll hopefully help everybody out. And then lastly, if you came across that bridge on the first slide and you come into the new lobby, you'll come down those escalators right there. And that's where we want you to practice the wave as you come down. You're the VIP arriving into our new lobby. That new lobby is 200,000 square feet. But the plastic sheeting that you see right after you go through security checkpoint, there's another 200,000 square feet. That opens up September 25th. It has 15 more restaurants. That's where all the international flights will be serviced out of. So if you're going to France or you're going to Germany or any of the other locations, you'll be right there in the center waiting to get on one of those 6 gates. If you arrive from a foreign country, then you come down under the ground, go through customs and agriculture, and then there's a tunnel now that runs under the airport that pops out by rental cars. That's where the international visitors will come out. But I would be glad to stop and answer any questions that y'all have about the airport. So fire away.
Regard to international flights, I thought I heard a rumor that you were going to build another runway to the east of the existing one, north-south. That's true.
We have on that 4,600 acres that we have, we have 3 north-south runways. The one closest to Genesco, we'll extend it across Murfreesboro Road. The only challenge is we have to lower Murfreesboro Road by about 60 to 70 feet. When we get big enough, when you add that 5th runway, there's land to the east where the 5th runway will go. They talk about it in terms of like near the Harding Place extension, if that ever comes in, but we have land and almost all the land we need to build a 5th runway. If you ever get to Nashville at a 5th runway, then you're talking Atlanta, because that's how many runways. Yes, sir.
So on 40, right past that 216 exit, it looks like there's an overpass being built. Is that for traffic for you, or is that going to be a new exit off?
So there, any construction on airport property, the airport has to pay for. Going through the middle of the airport is Donaldson Pike. And so if you're coming from Murfreesboro, Donaldson Pike goes straight. and then you go under the taxiway, and then the Donaldson Pike jogs towards the terminal. The state is moving that road over so that it goes just due north-south in our, that is they're calling it a divergent diamond. That's going to be a new intersection to hit 40, get off of 40 from Donaldson. So they're building that. That's $150 million on the state's part. And when they move the old Donaldson out of the way, you'll notice when you go under that little bridge, the airplanes go over on Donaldson, road rises rapidly. As soon as they're out of the way, we have to lower Donaldson by about 50 to 60 feet because that's going to make a new loop road. Today, we have a 1 mile oval with 2 lanes wide. And as soon as Donaldson's moved over, it becomes a 2 mile oval, 6 lanes wide to get all the people off of the interstate and into the terminal faster. So I call it our own NASCAR track, but they're not banking the curves, which would really be cool. So, yes, sir.
The other part of the Donaldson problem is Harding Place. Is there
Yes.
anything in the works to straighten that mess out?
Well, we won't be able to do that because that's a city and state problem with the Harding Place. And if they do the extension as it's currently designed, we have letters to the state and to the city. They need to move it over a couple hundred feet or so because that would interfere with our 5th runway if we ever build that. So we're continuing to talk to them, but to my knowledge, there's no money in Metro's budget or the state's budget yet to fix the Harding Place extension problem. Yes, sir.
Thank you first for coming and speaking to us. There are a lot of speakers that we have, and few of them, what they do touches every life in the room. I mean, this is fantastic. So thank you. I failed to read the CAFR before I came.
Okay.
So a couple questions. The legal relationship between the airport authority and Metro Nashville.
Yep.
Wholly independent?
Yes.
Wholly independent.
Now, so the rest of the story is I thought, oh, here it goes. I'm gonna get that legislation question on the board. So 1937, the US militaries built the first bits of Berry Field, Nashville. After World War II, the military federal government gave the remnants of that airport to the city of Nashville. And they had a Department of Aviation until 1969, when the state authorized them to create airport authorities. And in 1970, the city of Nashville created us. And since then, I call it the divorce. But since then, we have been our own independent business. We get $0 from the city of Nashville, and we have to do all the work ourselves.
And so your bond ratings are not tied to the taxing authority of Metro
No,
Nashville.
thank goodness. Yeah.
And so can you share with us your bond?
We
ratings?
don't want like a D, double D or whatever like that. So we're very strong bond rating. So
Can you share with us what your ratings
A plus. We get rated by Moody's, Kroll, and S&P, and all of them are in the top, very, not the highest you could get, but very strong. A category above. I can't keep them straight between A minus and why that's minus plus.
Thank you.
It's in the CAFR. It's very strong. And the other point, while we're going to the next question, is that what I showed you for the $3 billion, that plan has been given to the rating agencies in New York. So when we went and bought the we did 2 tranches, 900 million and 600 million to get to the first 1.5. But when we borrowed the second 600 million, they seen the next $1.5 billion plan 10-year to do that. And we still got ratings upgrades. And so we can pay for 3 billion. I don't know how we go above 3 right off the bat until we know a little bit more about the future. Yes, ma'am.
Well, first of all, I grew up in Auburn, so War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Second of all, I had a
I didn't
question.
know there are so many people with high IQs in this room. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Second of all, I had a question about the famous or infamous B&A carpet.
Yes.
The first time I went into the new Concourse D, I was a little distraught that it was different carpet. It was not the ugly B&A carpet that that we've become viral and famous for.
Okay.
Is there?
All right, War Eagle, next question. Wait, no, I mean, when you want to look at the idiot that got rid of the carpet, War Eagle. So, and I'll tell you, I love the B&A carpet. We still sell it for $39. If you want your own doormat, we'll sell it. We'll sell you pieces of it. But, and now I'm speaking as the CEO side of the house and the ops background and maybe a little bit of military in there. When you walk down the old airport on the B&A carpet, everybody loves Starbucks. Oops. Everybody loves the dog. Oops. So, and then you got, how would your carpet look in your house if 22 million people walk through your front door? And so it cost us north of 500 million a year changing carpet out. And then with the dog stains and the coffee stains. And so I appreciate the carpet and how eclectic it was, but my favorite is when room here, other than Campbell right here, you know, whether we got a bunch of millennials or whatever, but you lay down, if you're young and you lay down on our carpet, and you're doing a selfie, I'm like, I'd be, and we do a good job of cleaning. We get 95% ratings on our cleaning, but I still would lay down. All of that. Yes, sir.
So casting your vision southward a little bit, realizing you may not be able to say anything or you might not know anything. There once was some murmurs and whispers about a general aviation airport to come that would grace Williamson County borders.
Yep.
Are you able to share anything about that and its seeming disappearance from public conversation?
Sure. I've been asked that question, and there have been numerous investors that come in and want to build this Williamson County Airport right off of I-65. And God bless them, you know, if they pull it off. The only thing I've told Mayor Anderson and the mayors of Spring Hill is just be careful what you wish for. And the only reason it is like B&A generates 282 million this year, cost 165 million. Until these last bit of hangars were built in John Toon, we were barely in the black. John Toon's budget is 2 million. So we raise about 2 million and our expenses are 2 million, but that runway, when we lengthened it to 6,000 feet, just lengthening 1,000 feet was 26 million. And then you got to have 100 million to build the hangars that we're about to build and the upkeep of this runway, because everybody says the investors are there. But I'm telling you what, if you got money, you got your own jet, you're also cheap. You don't want to pay no rent. and so you want to fly in, but they don't want to pay. This is what it costs. My biggest arguments are not running Nashville. It's talking to all the bigwigs that fly airplanes in and out of John Toon is your rent is this, and this is why your rent is this. And it's not astronomical at all. We're competitive with everybody else. But if you want to increase this last year, Lisa, what we do? We went from like 610 to 645. Yeah, it was like $35 on their hangar. And I'm like, you got $1 million airplane in this hangar and you don't want to pay $35, you know, let's go to lunch or something. But anyway, I'm sorry. It may work, but you know, when they talk about it, I was like, I just would love to see the pro forma and what, well, this half's going to be country music and this half's going to be business. It don't matter. They're all worried about the bottom line. Yes, sir.
I don't know if there's a basis for this, but you hear that the technology and infrastructure of the FAA is behind times. There's a potential classic meltdown, tremendous growth. What's your honest assessment of where they are and what we're looking at?
I'd say you're 100% accurate. So my biggest challenge is obviously you're raising the money to pay these bills. I get about from the federal government on an average basis, let's say about $5 million to run the Nashville International Airport. But when you take that grant, you get 39 grant assurances that you have to live by and comply with. The rules that the federal government place on airports or airlines is astronomical. I'd almost give up that money if I could run my own show or whatever, but from the federal side of the house on the air traffic control and modernizing aviation, it's easy to watch the president, you know, when we had a meltdown with Southwest at Christmas, their scheduling system went out. The worst thing about that is they didn't tell us for 3 days. After they told us and we told them, quit telling people to come to the airport. The airport is designed to come, hello, buy a hot dog, park at the airport, get on the jet and leave. If you don't leave, I don't have room for you. And so for 3 days in a row, the jets didn't leave and we're just crowded beyond belief. But if you're going to penalize the airlines for not being able to do something, and you've seen it on the news lately where they were going to start making them pay for your hotel and pay if you get a delay. The other day, and I'm not trying to be political, I'm just saying the business side of the house. The other day, the entire NOTAM system went down for the United States of America and all flights were grounded for 4 hours. Is Uncle Sam going to stroke a check to all of us that lost money for that? No. So they're good at penalizing me. If I make an error on a TSA, on a Transportation Security Administration inspection, $11,000 an error. That's on your application. My name is Douglas Edward Crewland. If I put Douglas E. Crewland, $11,000. You know, so so you know, the federal government is really good at, you know, and they're about to light us up with new environmental regulations and things that I'm not going to be getting any money for, that I'm going to have to find a way to finance. So the federal government could, if they could run like a business, we'd all be in better shape. Yes, sir. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. So much of insight about the growth. And I know we're talking millions and billions, but my question is about parking.
Yes.
I know about 2 years ago, it was like $10, I think.
Yes.
And now it's like what, $20 or $18? Will it keep
That's a
going
good
to like
deal.
$40?
You should drive 2 cars and park them both at the airport. So we do parking surveys for all of Nashville and the surrounding communities. So the rates that you pay at the airport are pretty much the rates that you're paying at different downtown markets. So we're not trying to gouge anybody there. And besides doing parking surveys locally, we compare ourselves to other comparable size airports. So we charge the same rate or near the same rates. Back to that business model, that 282 million that I mentioned, let's just say it's 300 million. We raise a third of our revenue is the airlines. They pay us to land on the runways, park at the airport, and rent space for ticket counters and gate counters. $100 million. We sell, and that's why I tell everybody, park, shop, and fly. So 100 million is from the airlines. We raise about $100 million in parking, and we raise about $100 million for hot dogs, hamburgers, t-shirts, hats, Diet Cokes, or whatever. So we don't jack up the rates on purpose on the parking, but as an example, when we started this in 2017, we had 2,000 garage spaces. We have 7,000 garage spaces now. They're all full. We should have built more parking, but we have to figure out how to do that. But that's a good problem to have the garage. The best example that I have is the one we use for the hotel, 97 million, 1,800 spaces. At the current garage rate, that garage will be paid for. I think it's in like 7 years. But for the next 25 years, it's paying on the debt service. So that's how the rates are set to try to encourage people. And then again, like when you do Uber and Lyft to the airport, you know, they pay us to come because they're doing a commercial transaction. So they pay us to drop you off and they pay us to pick you up, $4, $4. In the old days, when we first did a deal with Uber and Lyft, 5,000 trips a month.
Today, we do almost 400,000 trips a month. People doing Uber and Lyft. And so that's why the roads have got to be made bigger and they're only 25% of the traffic. 25% is Uber, Lyft, 25% is mom and dad dropping everybody off. Only about 15% of the people actually park at the airport right now. So we have 20,000 total parking spaces, 7,000 garage, and then some other surface spots.
I keep asking questions. I'll stay a little bit if you want, but thank you for the opportunity and I hope you have a good weekend.
Anything else for the good of Rotary? Do we have any announcements that we forgot or Larry?
Don't put your chair in the wall. Stack your chairs on exercise. That 7 in a chair or stack that 4 and 3. You can do it right where you are. You put it in the wall or anything and that'll go up a lot. Thank you.
Awesome. And Doug, we do have a pin for you that's as a gift. It is not right here. It's in the closet, I think. So I'm going to grab that and hand it to you after we formally adjourn. Anything else for the good, Beth? Oh yeah, grants. Community grants are due, like right now. All right. Oh, yay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We are adjourned.